like to call this meeting of the Elkhorn City Planning Commission to order. It's Thursday, November 7th at 6 p.m. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Hunter,
Here.
Stacko, Boardman,
Here.
Geestlin,
Here.
Meinel,
Here.
Watke,
Here.
Schroeder.
Here. We've got the minutes of the October 3rd, 2024 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Any
Move that
additions?
be approved as written.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Our first item on the agenda is Cleta Cold Iron and Craig Lally's the agent for 1041 Proctor Drive. A site plan architecture review, discussion recommendation. My understanding is Naomi's got the information on this.
I have, well, this site is kind of unusual to being reviewed because they already had an approved grading plan and didn't complete the project. So they are back in front of the Plan Commission. So my review letter dated, what's the date? August 30th. Took a look at the proposed plans that they provided, and I did a site inspection and made a couple notes. Given that this is, been what, 30% completed, I think the foundation is in out there. Yeah, so anyway, some of the comments I had that the grading on site, does not match the 2017 grading plan. The building appears to be placed lower than proposed, meaning that it's pretty much at or a little below the street, which is not ideal for drainage. There are some retaining walls out there. Any retaining wall above 4 feet should have a structural, or 3 feet rather, should have a structural engineer sign off. So that's comment 1B. There's a low spot that was graded with no inlet at the property line. I'm not really sure why that would be the case. I think it's because the building is so low, but it draws water away from the building. It creates ponding on the property of about 4 inches, but doesn't appear to impact any structures. So the low point kind of builds up and then flows over, and it resides all on the property. The final grading plan doesn't show any spot elevations, but it appears to be less than 0.3% drainage across the lot, which is not adequate for stormwater drainage. The site is part of the business park or industrial park and has a stormwater pond that is adjacent to it. The site is pretty much graded to drain towards it, although it's very flat inside the property line. There were no utility connections on the plans. I just talked to Matt. He thinks that the utility connections have already been placed for the project. And so maybe comment number 3 is not relevant, although it would be great to know where those connections were. So to get an as-built on that with this project. That's my summary.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or anyone else wish to speak on this matter?
Well, from what you just said, it sounds like if that goes ahead, there's gonna be a lot of water problems. Drainage,
I believe so.
the building is too low. Can they correct any of that? There's nobody here tonight
Yeah, right.
representing them, right? I guess not.
There's some things I think they could do. If they created a high point in their site, they could have some water drain towards the street and some towards the back, creating better flow across, from within the site. The retaining walls, there look to be maybe some bowing already of the retaining walls, so I'm not really sure how they were installed structurally. So I would definitely need a structural engineer's sign off on that. Yeah, those are probably the two biggest things I think could be done with a revised site plan.
Did you get Craig's response? See your review? Can you pull that up, Matt?
No, I'm sorry.
Craig's response to Naomi's review, it should be right below it. Yeah. Yeah.
From zoning, have they been in and worked with you or Allison on these plans?
Yes, yeah, so essentially, they were approved back in 2017. They pulled permits, in 2021 and 22, which both expired. So he needed to come back, he needed to bring everything back to plan commission for
Right.
approval again. So there has been, tentatively working back and forth with him, but essentially, according to Naomi too, his plans had changed a little bit from 17. So we were basing, our approval that.
On the 17 plans, correct?
No, the current most updated ones, we were, basing approval, based off of all of Naomi's comments being addressed.
Oh, being addressed.
Mhm, yes. And unfortunately.
There's nobody here.
The applicant's not here.
I'm sure they knew about them. Did they call you and say they wouldn't be able to make it, or?
We haven't heard anything, as far as we know, Cleta's not even from the area, but, there has been correspondence, repeatedly between Craig and Allison.
So the work they've done didn't follow the 17 plan as far as the elevations go?
Correct.
And now we're stuck with it, kind of.
Well,
But are these new revisions that Naomi's talking about, is that in the new updated,
Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to look at them, but his itemized response, if his itemized response is indeed correct, that would address the drainage concerns that I had through the site. But also, it's kind of, I mean, I didn't make this as a comment, but there's really no professional business or professional survey, professional engineer notation on the plan set that's provided. And we typically see that, we need that because they're the liable party in the design and the preparation of the plans. It just says, the name of the project and the contact. There's no header, there's no logo, which I think, probably should be provided as well.
So you really don't have what you'd like to have to approve this, for us to approve this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
This has been going on forever. Do we want to table it, or is that counterproductive too?
Elaine, do you have anything to add on this?
Yeah, I noticed that in the report from Allison, that she is recommending approval subject to addressing all of the comments and concerns of Kapoor. And I made a couple notes, and I don't know, Naomi, I didn't fully read your report, if it addressed that you would want to see the utility connections and the as-built on those. Is that noted in your report as well?
Yes, I asked for the plans to be updated to show that, and I see this, just glancing at the one for the first time that's in the packet, that's not showing. So that would be something we would need to see before a building permit could be issued.
Okay. And then the second thing, you would want professional stamp plans submitted. Is that noted in your report
Yes.
as well?
Oh,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry, it's not. This should
Okay,
be in
so-
addition to the,
Okay,
if the conditional approval is gone forward with, those should be added.
okay.
I think
So
it's
the
great.
conditions of the utility connections and the requisite as-built showing those, and then professional stamped plans would be 2 additional conditions on top of the ones that Allison already noted in her report, which I flipped off of that page. That is on page 51 of the packet, if I'm looking at the electronic packet, but yeah, the staff recommends that the plan commission approve the site plan, architectural, and landscape plan with the following 5 conditions, A through E, plus the 2 that I just mentioned would have been Allison's recommendation. So if you wanted
Yes,
to move,
correct, yeah.
right, if you wanted to move it forward, subject to those conditions, until all of those comments and requirements are met, they're not gonna get their building permit.
I just have a question for you, Naomi. To what extent do your comments address the concerns about the grading, though? I mean, in your recommendation or your report, when Allison talks about how the applicant has to address all the comments listed in your memo, it wasn't clear to me would that include fixing the concerns about the grading and the water?
Yes, because the comment about grading is that there's not adequate drainage from the front to the back of the site. Yep, that it's 0.3%. His response was that they revised the grading plan to be 1%. So if I take a look at that and I can scale it and it is 1%, that would be adequate.
So basically, to meet your objections, they would have to bring the height up by 2 feet?
If they could provide proper drainage at the existing elevation of the foundation based on their new grading plan, perhaps the foundation could remain the same. It's just a note that the previous, they weren't following the previous approved plan.
Is there any current work being done on it now? And should that stop if there is?
There should not be any work being done at this point because there's no building permits.
So we're basically looking for an approval according to, with these recommendations, staff recommendations. That's what we're asking.
Yes, a motion, if you're so inclined, would be to move to recommend that the plan, indicate that the plan commission approve the site plan, architectural and landscape plan with the following conditions, A through E in the staff report, plus professional stamped plans, and that would be F, and then G would be utility connections, as-built information for the utility connections provided to the city.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve according to the recommendations from the staff, A through F, do we want to say?
Yep,
Is that
plus
okay?
F and G that I just listed.
Plus F and G?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll approve that and send that on to the council. Doesn't it go, no, does it go to the council? So they don't get a whack at it? All right. This is it.
Game's over.
All right. Next up, we have Dennis Whitty and Whitty Supply Company, County Highway NN and County Highway H for a conditional use permit, public hearing and recommendation. So we need to read this. Is this what we're reading? So notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Planning Commission of the City of Elkhorn on November 7th, 2024 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the council chambers, city administration offices, 311 Seymour Court, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the purpose of hearing all interested parties, their attorneys, agents, with respect to the application submitted by Dennis Whitty Supply Company, for a conditional use permit to allow outdoor storage located on the corner of County Highway NN and County Highway H. The property is more precisely identified by the following tax parcel ID YVSE 00001A. Is there anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. You'll get a chance when we bring it up. So Naomi, did you have some information on this also?
Yeah, thank you. My review comments are attached in the packet. Basically, there's some information missing from the site plan that's required for site plan approval. So I've, not in the right spot. Oh, thanks. The proposed site plan is over an acre of land disturbance. In fact, it's about 3 acres of impervious as currently shown. And so the site plan should show some stormwater management facilities. There's a wetland marked on the Wisconsin DNR wetland mapping, which means the site is required to get a specific site wetland delineation, and those boundaries should also be provided on the site plan. That will give us some setback information based on the quality of the wetland and where disturbance and impervious surface can be placed. Proposed grades and contours, top of foundation and finished yard grade are missing from the site plan. This makes it difficult for us to know if it's properly located with respect to the intermittent creek that runs through the property. Erosion control measures, that's something that certainly can be added on the engineering and site plan. And then there's no sewer and water service locations detailed, as well as showing that appropriate distance from the nearest fire hydrant meets the code.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Yes. If you'd like to step up to the podium.
My name is Tom Stelling, Stelling & Associates Architects. I'm working with Dennis from Whitty Supply, who's here with me, to work our way through this process. You want to talk or you want me to talk? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, hi there. Yeah, I guess we knew setting this in, we were a little incomplete. We had sent it a few weeks ago and we didn't realize we were maybe as incomplete as the list we got back, so I apologize for that, but yeah, I guess more or less for me, I'm just kind of looking again, like if this is acceptable, if we can get all the punch list stuff done there, if this is acceptable, the way the buildings look and things like that, because obviously there's a lot of expense going in the project to get this wetland delineation done and a bunch of other stuff. So I guess that's why we're here today yet. It's still on the agenda. I don't know if Tom has anything to add.
Yeah, first off, about a year ago, Dennis brought in the plan when he bought the property, and he had a preliminary schematic of how it laid out. And since then, we've analyzed the site, looked at what he wants to put on, and we put it on a sheet of drawings and said, is this acceptable to everybody? Will this work for the city? Will it work for Dennis? And we moved it around for probably about a month. And then we said, well, we better make sure this is gonna work. And so what we did is we put together all the pieces that we knew, you know, the plans and stuff for the buildings we want to put on it and where we think it fits best. And then we submitted to the city to see if in fact it's going to work. We knew that we did not have, there's a cornfield there when we started, so, you know, that just came down this last week on it. So the delineation has been ordered based on the requirements, and there's a little window of how long you can get it done this time of the year. The goal is for us to start in the spring and have it all done by the end of the year, next year. And so we're trying to make sure we don't miss key timing points. He's got a business already in town, so he's trying to make sure when he moves to the new one, everybody's on board. there's no major problems. We looked at the list and we weren't in contention. We've done projects before, and very often, those are all conditions, like you were talking about with the other gentleman. You know, it's a conditional approval, these are the conditions. There's 2 structures on there, there's some storage, there's lots of things, and they weren't mentioned as to whether they were acceptable or not, where they're placed and how they're put on there. And so to have the engineering done on placement of the building, setting grades and stuff, if you're gonna move things around, it's gotta be pretty much, everybody's gotta be on board. So we don't have I guess somewhere down the line, we don't say, well, that's all wrong. We didn't like that in the first place. So we're here, we understand it's gonna not be approved at this point, based on recommendations, but we also wanna make sure that you understand what we're trying to accomplish.
Naomi, do you have anything more to add, or if we table this, we need to go through the punch list, as they called it? And
Yeah, I mean, this site is larger. It's not gonna be too cramped on the site. Probably the stormwater basin's gonna go at the low end, which is vacant, near the creek. So we can, having these things on the plans would give the plan commission a better idea of what the actual final site layout would be. Yeah.
I guess, if it's all right, I'll give my
sure,
wisdom.
absolutely.
With the level of details that we have right now, I guess my concern is with the level of detail that we have, and I can appreciate your position on wanting to get it in, get the plan commission's opinion on the shape and the look of the buildings and the overall general layout, but to approve it, conditioned upon the recommendations that you have in your packet, I think we're missing some key components. I think, like, for example, is there gonna be sanitary sewer going to the office, or are you looking to do something different? Because the plan commission has been asked for those sort of things before, and maybe if there's gonna be a fence out there. So that's my concern, is that I can appreciate where you guys are coming from. Maybe the plan commission can provide feedback on their overall feel of it, and maybe just go through another iterations of looking at that list a little bit further, would be my suggestion, but that's just my 2 cents.
I agree with Matt, but I don't have a problem with you moving out there where you got more space and, the buildings look like they would fit into the type of business that you have. But I do think that there's a checklist there that I think's gotta be done before approval. But I think it fits in out there very well. And I'm glad that you'd stay in Elkhorn.
We do have an engineer working on it.
In the past, I know we've seen a lot of concept plans, and just giving folks like this opportunity to hear if anyone has objections to this project. And that gives them a more comfort level in proceeding and spending some money. So does anyone have a problem, or anyone have questions?
I'm just kind of curious, so do you guys have a time frame on when you think this checklist is gonna be done? Are we gonna have you were talking about possibly tabling this, is there like a time frame that you have on this?
Well, there are some key components or timing issues. So first off, is we've already ordered, as of the letter on Friday, we ordered over the weekend the delineation of the wetlands. They can only do that till the end of the month, probably, or until the weather changes. And so that's already ordered, and that's a pretty good large ticket item for them to go out and do it. Without that, we can do nothing. Okay, that's the next step. We've already sent the plans and the recommendations from Kapoor to Lynch and Associates. Now, the other part of these components are, everybody's busy. All the engineers are busy. Their timeline, we can't even speak to. My email to them, it says, this is what we need. How long will it take you to do it? And do you have any feedback? And about what it's gonna cost. So we have an idea. Right now, whoever provide the work, you're kind of at their mercy. And so you asked the question, the goal would be is for us to start in the spring and maybe get approval so we could clear some of the trees and stuff before there's leaves and anything around there that would be outside of that area. And the goal would be to have it done by a year from now, everything in place.
Love to see it.
And to your point, Mayor, you bring up the concept plan idea, that's how I see, that we're at the concept plan stage, and I don't have any big concerns about the concept. You know, it's gonna work out with, there's place for detention, there's place for all these things to fit together, we just asking to see a little bit more information, so.
Oh, I think that's fine, sorry. That's basically what we're looking for, was like, as presented, is it close enough? We understand there's tweaks and little things, you know, we always gotta make adjustments to, but I didn't wanna get farther down the road and then find out like the building doesn't conform to something, it's gotta be smaller, bigger, different materials, you know, whatever, so I guess that was more or less what we were looking for tonight, so. I think that answered all of our questions.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion to table it until we can get that worked out, and you guys work with our departments and,
Yeah, we'll try to get that done next month or two.
I'll second that.
Kind of on their time schedule, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, we got it. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
you
Yeah,
bet.
thank you.
Yep, thank you. We've got general discussion items.
I have a question. Whatever happened to the Holton building where?
The Holton building is, he's moving, the guy from Walworth who was here
He
a
had
year
to
and a
have-
half ago.
He had to have that right away because, you know, he had to get in there, but I don't see anything being done.
Well, they've been active there, they've been there every day working on it.
Yeah, excuse me, it's not on the agenda, I guess, so we can't talk about that.
Hmm. Okay.
I thought it was a discussion. All right,
Sorry.
okay.
All right. Does anyone want to update us on Creekside? They're coming back again.
Yeah, they'll be here at the next meeting, which, just as a side note, you see on here, it says November 21st, 2024 at 6 PM, but it's been changed to November 22nd, which is Friday at 4:30. So I know this is the best way to spend a Friday, is at the Planning Commission, so we're excited about this. But I do appreciate everybody, being willing to meet on that Friday. Unfortunately, there's an unavoidable conflict at the normally scheduled time for the Planning Commission on the 21st. And because of the Thanksgiving and everything else going on, we really wanted to make sure this second meeting in November happened because of Creekside wanting to come back. I know Naomi and the rest of the Kapor team, along with Creekside's engineers, Ryan Cardle, have been working extensively since the last meeting. We had hoped to have everything resolved by tonight. Unfortunately, we got some updated plans about a week ago and didn't really give Naomi enough time to look at that before tonight, and particularly before the council packet or the planning commission packet was going out. So Creekside was willing to come tonight, but they, understood that we didn't feel like it was in a position to be able to actually have a vote tonight. And so the sort of consensus is that the goal would be to have this on the agenda for potential approval at the next meeting. And so I know Naomi, again, has been working extensively with Cardinal. So Naomi, do you have some comments about, how things are going and any remaining hurdles?
Yeah, I think we've made progress. Since the last plan commission, we did get a geometric layout for the north access, which has been very helpful to see how the DOT requirements will fit in that location. So we're taking a look at that. We've had some comments back and forth on where that's located, what that looks like. There's going to be an additional easement required, so we can get all the ducks in the row for the purchaser of that first commercial lot, should that access be needed as a permanent access. I've talked several times with Cardinal Engineering, and we had a Zoom meeting earlier this week to talk about some of the grading comments and make sure that we're kind of crossing all our T's and dotting our I's, and it's been a good conversation. There's been a resubmittal of utility plans that I intend to take a look at as soon as I'm able, and we'll just keep chugging along to make sure that we have everything for the next meeting.
That's good.
Thanks.
And And the only other thing I just would add, with respect to the railroad crossing, Matt did coordinate to get the traffic counts done on the three existing crossings starting next week. So the hope would be that we could get that data, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the first council meeting in December, so they can then potentially provide a recommendation on which crossing, if any, they want to close in order for us to be able to apply for the Creekside crossing, so.
Okay. Sounds good. Adam already mentioned it, but everybody mark down the November 22nd at 4:30 on a Friday. Is that a problem for anybody? Will we have a quorum?
I can be here.
Yeah,
I will not be able to.
okay. So as long as, Jim, are you available?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Okay.
available, yeah.
Okay, we should be good then on the quorum. And we've also got a meeting December 5th, 2024. That's a regular Thursday at 6 PM. And I've got one written in here on January 2nd, just so everybody's aware. 2025. So, all right.
Just
A
around the
motion to
corner.
adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.